My name is Mark. I am 49. I never felt special in my life. I weigh 400 pounds, and I have been overweight for as long as I can remember. In school, kids used to do this thing where they would spit at me, right at my face. And even after you wipe it off, the feeling stays. I carried it through every job, every date, every mirror. Then I met Naira, and for the first time I forgot what it felt like to be the target. I thought I was the happiest man on earth. Then she betrayed me. I lost $73,680. More than that, I lost part of my lower leg. That is something I will never fully get back. My therapist told me to share this story so someone else hears it early enough to stop. So yeah, let me go back. 3 years ago, my life was basically a loop. Wake up, work, drive home, eat, sleep, repeat. I did customer support for a regional insurance company, mostly remote. Headset on, calm voice for angry strangers. I would finish a shift and look at my kitchen and realize I had not spoken out loud all day. I had people in my life, technically. A buddy who texted during football season, a cousin who checked in at Christmas. But I was always the nice guy, the dependable guy, the guy who filled in when someone needed help. Nobody looked at me like I was the center of their world. And inside, I still carried that old humiliation. People think time fixes everything. Sometimes it just covers it. Sometimes it waits. I tried dating apps. That was rough. Polite chats that fizzled, conversations that vanished. I got, "You seem sweet," a lot. Sweet is what you call somebody you do not desire. Then I met Naira. I did not meet her on a dating app. That detail matters because it is the reason I trusted her. Our company had a small marketing team, and they hired freelance SEO writers to build blog content. Naira was one of them. She was in the project system like a normal contractor. Company email alias, profile photo, invoices, deadlines, revisions, all the boring work reality that makes someone feel legitimate. When I first saw her profile, I remember thinking, she looks young, like really young. I figured early 20s. It was just a passing thought at first, the way you notice the weather. Later, when we actually talked, she told me she was 20. And I want to say this carefully. I did not go looking for someone that young. I did not have a plan. I did not sit there thinking, I want an age gap relationship. It happened the way real life happens now. A message, a question, a little warmth inside a boring workday. At first, she was just a name assigned to articles like "What to Do After a Car Accident" and "How Deductibles Work." I would see her drafts pass through the workflow. Solid writing, clean structure. She knew what she was doing. Then one day, she messaged me in our internal chat. "Hi Mark, quick question. When customers call, what do they fear most about claims? I want it to sound real." Nobody asked customer support for insight. People avoided us because we dealt with the messy stuff. So I answered her. I told her what people feared: denials, being blamed, losing their home, feeling stupid. She replied fast. "Thank you. This is important. People feel shame. I will write with respect." Respect. That word sat in my chest. After that, she kept reaching out once or twice a week, clarifying questions, real questions, like she actually cared if the content matched real human emotion. She would say, "Does this sentence sound like a robot?" And I would joke, "Yeah, it sounds like a toaster wrote it." She would laugh. Warm laugh. The kind that makes you want to keep talking. Soon, she added small personal lines at the end of work messages. "How was your day? You sound tired. Please drink water, Mark." Tiny stuff, but it felt like someone noticed I existed. And because it lived inside work, it felt safe. There were other people in the channel. There were meeting invites. There were deadlines. There was proof she was a real person with real responsibilities. So when she started caring about me, I did not label it as danger. I labeled it as finally. The age gap was there from the beginning, but it did not feel like a red flag at first. It felt like a miracle. Like life had decided to stop punishing me for a minute. That is a dangerous feeling, by the way. When you think you are due for something good, you stop asking hard questions. A couple months in, she asked if she could send voice notes sometimes. She said her fingers got tired after writing all day in English. I said, sure. That is when I heard her voice for the first time. Soft, bright, a little shy. She would ramble about an article brief, then suddenly ask about my weekend. She would end with, "Sorry, I talk too much," then laugh again. I replayed those messages while I ate dinner. I know how that sounds. I do. But when you spend your whole life feeling like people tolerate you, someone who chooses to talk to you feels like you found a door you did not know existed. One night she asked about my childhood. I kept it light at first, but then I told her about school, about being the fat kid, about the spit, right at my face, in hallways, on the bus. Teachers saw it and said, "Ignore them," like it was nothing. I told Naira I still felt it sometimes, not literally, but like my skin remembered. She got quiet and said, "That is cruel. You did not deserve that." No lecture, no advice, just anger on my behalf. It felt like somebody finally stood next to me. If you are finding value in this story, please subscribe. We share real stories to help you spot the signs before it is too late. After that, she started talking about the future, marriage, family, kids, a lot. And this is where the age gap actually made it stronger, psychologically, because she kept framing it like this was her choice, her idea, her dream. She would say, "People will judge us, but they do not know you." She would say, "You are different from men my age." That did two things to me. First, it made me feel special for the first time in my life. Second, it made me feel like I had to protect the relationship from criticism because I did not want to be the older guy who ruined it with insecurity. We moved to video calls. She sat by a window with light on her face. Not filtered perfect, just normal. She wore big t-shirts. She drank tea. She looked like someone you could live beside. She told me she wanted to visit the US someday. She said she wanted to see if we felt the same in person, outside screens. I asked, why me? Because I genuinely did not get it. She smiled and said, because you make me feel safe. Safe. Again. And I know what you might be thinking. A 20-year-old calls a 49-year-old safe, and he did not question it? I did actually. I had the thought. I just buried it under relief. Because safety was the one thing I could offer that felt real. I could not offer a perfect body. I could not offer youth. I could offer stability, kindness, consistency. I could offer a man who would not disappear. So yes, I leaned in. The practical part started slowly. She talked about paperwork. She said it overwhelmed her. She said she feared mistakes. She asked if I could help cover some fees because her freelance income fluctuated and she wanted to do it right. At first it was small: passport renewal, translations, appointment fees. She sent screenshots and receipts, sometimes messy, sometimes cropped, like real life. And because I wanted to be useful, I created a shared folder. I told her, "Forward everything here so we do not lose it." She thanked me like I was a hero for being organized. That folder later became the moment everything fell apart. She visited about a year after our first messages. I picked her up at the airport in my nicest shirt. I shaved twice because I was nervous. My hands shook on the steering wheel like I was 17. She came through the doors, saw me, and smiled like she was relieved. She hugged me tight and held on longer than I expected. For the first time in my life, I felt chosen in public. Those 2 weeks felt unreal in the best way. We cooked, we watched movies. She fell asleep on my couch with her head on my shoulder. She kissed me in my kitchen like it was normal. She also talked about marriage constantly. "We do it simple. We do it soon. I want family." And she kept mentioning the age gap in this oddly comforting way. She would say, "You worry you are old, but you are strong." She would say, "My friends will see your heart, not your age." She would say, "People think young girls want money, but I want love." I heard that last one and felt relieved, which is kind of insane in hindsight. When she flew back to Indonesia, my apartment felt like a freezer. We kept talking every day, and she kept working with our company, so the trust stayed reinforced. New assignments, new drafts, normal work stuff. It felt impossible that someone could fake a whole professional identity inside a company system. Then she told me she had a health scare. She said her cycle had been irregular. She said she went to a clinic. She said they saw signs of hormonal issues. She said she feared fertility problems. She cried on video, wiping her face fast like she felt embarrassed. She said, "Mark, I am scared I lose my chance." And here is the truth: I wanted kids. I never said it much because it felt humiliating at my age, at my size, with my life. But I wanted it. And she knew it because I told her once, late at night, like a confession. So when she panicked, I panicked with her. She did not ask for money directly at first. She talked about it like a tragedy: the unfairness, the costs, the time pressure. She sent clinic names and appointment times. She said some medication had to be paid up front. Then she sent a voice note. She said, "My English is bad for medical details. My friend came with me and explained. I recorded summary so you understand." A calm male voice explained things in simple terms. It sounded professional. It sounded like a helper, a translator type. I believed it because it felt too cruel to fake. I sent money for tests, then medication, then a deposit for what she called a support package. She said it would protect our future. Every time I helped, she became more affectionate. She called me her miracle. She said she pictured our baby learning 2 languages. She said, "You will be best father because you know pain and you will protect." And again, the age gap made it worse, because she would say things like, "You waited so long for family. I do not want you to miss it." She made it sound like she was rescuing me from time. Then came the second visit and the marriage talk again. She said she wanted to return and make things official. She said she wanted care in the US because she trusted it more. She said she wanted to build a stable life with me. So I paid for her flight again. This time she acted even more committed. She looked at rings online. She asked about my mom. She held my hand in public. I remember standing outside a grocery store while she leaned into me and thinking, I am finally the guy who gets the girl. Then the small cracks began. She guarded her phone, face down, always in her hand. Certain calls in the bathroom with the fan on. I asked, everything okay? She smiled and said, just friend. Then she started mentioning a guy named Risky. At first it sounded harmless. Risky helped me with my laptop. Risky knows documents. Risky is good with tech. I told myself I was paranoid. I told myself I was the older guy and I had to stop acting insecure. I told myself I had already been judged enough in life. I did not want to become the villain in my own story. Then she called me from what she said was a clinic hallway. In the background, I heard a man whisper her name. Close. Familiar. She laughed, quick, then said, sorry, people here. I asked, who is there? She said, nobody, just noise. Later she sent a sweet message. She said she loved me. She said she needed me. And I went back to trusting, because trusting felt better than facing what I suspected. Then she asked for a larger amount of money. She said there was a time window. She said she had to secure a package and also pay for paperwork connected to her return and our marriage plan. She said it all had to happen quickly. I hesitated. I stared at my bank app like it was a cliff. She went quiet, then said, maybe you do not really want family. That line hit me hard because I already felt like time was chasing me. So I sent it. A few days later she acted distant. Short replies, cancelled calls, tired, headache, busy. Then the twist arrived in the most ordinary way. She fell asleep on my couch. Her phone buzzed. I saw a message preview on the lock screen, a heart emoji and the name Rizky. My stomach dropped. The next morning she went out and said she needed fresh air. I opened the shared folder and email thread where she forwarded documents, the one I made because I thought I was being responsible. I typed Rizky in the search bar, and there it was, a flight receipt, not for her, for him. Then more, notes about what to say at an interview, a checklist, a timeline that used my address, my phone number, my apartment details. They referred to me as the sponsor. And then I found a message where she joked about me, about my size, about how easy it was because I wanted family so badly. There was also a line about my age, like it was part of the strategy, like I was predictable because I was older. That was the moment the old humiliation returned full force. I waited until she came home. I sat at my kitchen table, hands folded because I did not trust them. I said, who is Rizky? She tried the easy lie. Friend. I slid the printed flight receipt across the table. Her face changed. The softness left. Her eyes went flat, like a mask dropped. She sighed and said, Mark, you would not understand. I said, try me. She said she loved him. She said they had plans long before me. She said he deserved a chance. She said the US was hard to reach. She said she did what she had to do. I asked about the fertility story, about the clinic, about the voice notes. She looked away and said, It was easier story. I asked, "Did you ever love me?" She paused, then said, "I care about you. You are kind." Kind. That was the final humiliation. She left 2 days later, packed quietly. No real apology. After she left, I sat on my living room floor and felt something shut off inside me. Then the practical consequences arrived. I opened my bank statements. I added everything: flights, paperwork fees, consults, deposits, daily costs, emergency transfers. $73,680. That money was my buffer, my safety. And then my body started collecting the debt. Years earlier, I had been told I was borderline with my blood sugar. The doctor said I had to take it seriously. I nodded, did a little better for a month, then slid back. Food felt like relief. After Naira, I stopped trying at all. I stopped answering calls. I avoided friends. I felt like shame had a smell. Food became my mute button. Bigger meals, more delivery, late night eating because silence felt too loud. Then I started feeling constant thirst, blurry vision, exhaustion. My feet felt numb, like they belonged to someone else. I finally went to a clinic when I got dizzy at work and almost passed out mid-call. The doctor said my blood sugar was dangerously out of control. He gave me medication and a plan. Follow-ups. A warning about foot care. I left and drove straight to a drive-through. That is what humiliation can do. It can make you sabotage your own body because you feel like you deserve it. Then the foot problem happened. A small blister on my right foot from a cheap shoe. I barely felt it. I cleaned it, put a bandage on it, and told myself it would heal. It did not. It got worse. Swelling, heat, the kind of problem you try to ignore until ignoring stops working. I delayed care because I feared the bill and because I felt ashamed. By the time I went to urgent care, the doctors got serious fast. They said circulation was poor, healing was slow. They said the safest option was a major procedure, a form, a signature, a nurse holding my hand while I shook. When I woke up after that procedure, part of my lower leg was gone. In rehab, I checked social media like an idiot. There was Naira smiling. There was Rizky in America, a photo in front of a skyline. Comments from friends, hearts, congratulations. They looked happy. They looked like they belonged together. And I sat there with a rehab tray and a body that felt like it failed me. And I thought, this is the injustice. She took my hope, she took my money, and she walked into the life I wanted. My therapist asked me why I kept believing, and I told him the simplest truth: because she made me forget the spit. That is it. When you carry humiliation for decades, you will do almost anything for the first person who makes you feel clean. I cannot get my money back. I cannot get my time back. I cannot fully undo what happened to my body. So here is the warning I wish someone forced into my hands earlier. If someone offers you exactly what you have begged life for, pause. Give it 48 hours. Tell a real person in your life what is happening. Let them ask the questions you avoid. Verify every urgent claim through a third party before you send a cent. And if the relationship has a big age gap, be honest about what that does to you. It can make you feel lucky. It can make you feel afraid to question anything. It can make you accept pressure because you think you are replaceable. Love should feel steady. Love should feel safe in daylight. Love should never require you to ignore your alarm system. And if you hear yourself saying, I am probably overthinking, that is the moment to actually think, because loneliness can make a fantasy feel like a contract, and when the fantasy collapses, reality collects interest. I live with that now. I cannot rewind anything. I can only tell the truth while it still matters to someone else. If any part of you recognizes yourself in my choices, please stop early. Do not wait for your body to pay for what your heart refused to face.